That's right.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Empower Half Hour. It is good to see you all again. Woo!
Absolutely. Man, that intro was fire, dude. I
Hey.
love it.
All right. I'm glad you like it.
Yeah, that was all right. All right. We got to see Frank stand in front of a surfboard just like we're seeing right now.
That's right. Hey, sorry I missed the intro.
You got to see that a little bit. Though.
You're here for this. Yeah.
Oh, everybody, welcome so much. It is good to be back. You are here with, check it, this is officially the first episode of season 3 of the Empower Half Hour. What? Episode total number 67 in the record book.
Wow. It's amazing. Yeah, I don't think anybody, including us, thought we'd go 3 seasons. It's pretty cool. You gotta love it, right?
I am loving it. This is great stuff.
I didn't think we'd go 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. That's a really good point. So yeah, cheers. Yeah, here's to us. That's good. Man, I'll tell you what, that's super exciting, and we I think we've all probably got some stuff to share a little bit. But Bradley, I gotta go to your Penn State shirt right away. I mean, your Penn State Nittany Lions, just like University of Wyoming, the UW Cowboys, 2-0 right now, and your Nittany Lions look ridiculous on defense, man.
Oh, their defenses they need to get their offense stepping up a bit, but their defense is looking great.
pretty salty.
And shout out to Eric Lillis. Boy, Iowa is looking solid.
Number 5 in the country, man. The Hawks are amazing right now.
Yeah,
they really are. And Frank, your Eagles, Eagles fly, man. Wow, they look good on Sunday.
Yeah, let's not peak too early, but that was an unexpected win. -3 on the road, we'll take it. Heck yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And my Broncos took out the Giants for you too, so you got to love that. So
gotta love it.
Giants look.
It's a great football weekend. That's right.
Yeah, who are the Broncos playing this week? Aren't they playing?
They're playing the NFL practice squad, the Jaguars.
Oh, okay.
I shouldn't have said that. They'll probably end up losing to the Jags. So, but anyway, so we're talking about football, and you know what? I mean, our guest today, football coach, soldier, teacher, and author. Got to add that one to his resume here just a couple of weeks ago. I'll tell you what, I've got to spend quite a bit of time with this guy on Zoom. I haven't got to meet him yet in person, and I can't wait until I do. Speaking of football, he sent me a picture of him and his son at Lambeau Field a couple of weeks ago at a preseason game. I mean, this guy is what it's all about right here. So let's get John VanDusen into the show, and let's have some conversation with John. John, welcome to the show.
John, it's good to have you with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
So tell everybody where you're coming to us from.
So I live in Kingsford, Michigan, which is in the Upper Peninsula. It's only about an hour and 45 minutes north of Green Bay. So the Wisconsin border is only about 2 miles away, way on the western edge. And a real small town, Kingsford, it's where I graduated from. And I was lucky enough to get a job teaching and coaching here, and I love it.
Great.
God bless.
So before we get into the book and those items, tell us why coaching. What got you there? What's the draw for you?
So for coaching, it was really my high school football coach who retired just a few years ago and actually came back just to coach our defense, Chris Hofer. And he just has such a passion and a love for the game. It was really impossible to not fall in love with it. And then, going on student teaching, talking with the middle school principal, I said, hey, is there any chance of helping out with football? And she made a quick phone call. She goes, there you go. You're the assistant for the middle school team. You have practice tonight. So, and once you get into it, it's just teaching on grass. And I think a part that really draws me to it is teaching middle school and then coaching in high school. I can really see those young boys really grow up to be men. And by the time they're seniors and they're getting ready to step off into life, you've been with them for 4 or 5, 6 years at that point. And it's great. And that part. And then when they come back to tell you about how they're doing and either in the military or in their jobs with families and whatnot. It's so rewarding. I just love it.
That's great. I like that, teaching on grass.
Teaching on grass. That's awesome, man. So John, Bradley's right. We'll get into the book and some of the other stuff you're doing a little bit, but he asked you the coaching piece. I'm going to leave the teaching question for Frank. I want to ask you about the military service and, what led you in that direction. And I mean, share maybe a little bit of your experience if you want to with, and I know you're still with the U.S. Army at this time. So maybe just share a little bit of that experience.
Absolutely. So I grew up as a Navy brat. Every 2 to 3 years I was changing schools, following my dad's naval career around the country. And of course, being around the Navy all that time, I wanted to be Maverick, right? I wanted to be Top Gun. That was me. I was that guy. And then I actually went into the Navy recruiter, and they looked at my ASVAB scores, and I did great in science, did great in math, and in English, they said, well, take it again. And then, or not the ASVAB, I'm sorry, the ACT. They said, take it again and come see us. I was like, that's not going to happen. So I walked over to the Army, saw what they had to offer. And actually that same night, the National Guard recruiter had called me for Michigan, and I went and talked with him, and boy, they said they could let me do a pretty cool job in the Army being a military policeman, and they could help with college. And I think it was just in my blood, with following my dad around for his 23-year career. And then, once you get into it, that was it. So I was in the Michigan Army National Guard for 20 years with deployments to both Iraq and Afghanistan. In Iraq, I was a platoon leader, so I had about 45 soldiers in 2006, 2007. And our job was to do police transition training. So we worked directly with the Iraqi police. And then in 2013, I deployed to Kabul, Afghanistan. And we had a little bit different job. We had a small portion of the training, but then we had a large security portion of that, securing all the different coalition bases around Kabul. And I was a company commander at that time, so I had about 150 soldiers on that deployment. And I did other little things a lot around the States, and then a 2-week trip to Latvia in Eastern Europe, which was a great time. So, before I knew it, I was 18 years in, and now I'm 21 and a half years in, and I'm teaching right now for the Command and General Staff College. So Army majors, as part of their professional military education, come to my course that I teach with the team. And when they leave that course after 3 phases, they leave with 22 college credits towards a master's degree if they choose to put them towards it. So that's kind of my Army story in a nutshell.
That's just amazing.
I think you left out some things, but that's just me. You kind of skipped over I was in Kabul. Yeah, I did a couple tours, but thank you for your service. I appreciate you and everything that you do.
Absolutely, John.
We would need more than a half hour for any of that.
Yeah.
John, you said something earlier that resonated with me, and I started my educational career as a high school teacher and as a high school coach, and then my basketball game went south, so I decided there wasn't one 8th grader that could beat me in basketball, so I went down to the middle school, and there is that gap and that reward where you see those young adolescents grow into teenagers, grow into men, all before your eyes, and you have that leadership authority over them that whole time, and it's just an amazing part of how you explained it, and it seems like just as it has been in my life, maybe more so in your life, the way that you're able to see those young people grow into adults.
Yeah, and it's with football, it's like the ultimate team sport, right? It's a combat sport, so it's really interesting because you kind of see who the real person is when things get really tough, and maybe you're losing, and maybe somebody gets hurt. So that kind of raw emotion part of it, you don't necessarily get that in the classroom, right? In your 40-minute block or whatever. So it's extremely rewarding, and just like you said, to see those kids grow up is before your eyes is amazing.
So why teaching? So you told us about why you got into the military. You got your why as to coaching football. So what was it for teaching? Why? What led you here?
I never wanted to grow up, I think is part of it. When I was a senior, I did an independent study where we got to go off campus, and some people went to the mill, some people went to the paint shop, cabinet makers, whatever. I went to the elementary school because I love playing with kids and working with kids, and my forensics coach at the time was teaching first grade. So like, heck, I can get out of high school for an hour and go, play with first graders. That sounds awesome. So I went and did that, and I got to know more of the profession. I was like, this is it. This is for me. I get to be around kids all day. And you get those aha moments. Before I taught U.S. history, I taught STEM. So I had, all the little kids in there, and we're building bridges and breaking things. And when they see it, they're just so excited, a real just pure excitement. And, it also puts me around the high school where I can coach football and coach tennis, basketball. So it just seemed like the perfect fit for the kid who never really wanted to grow up.
I concur. I agree.
Yeah. I think there's a little bit in all of us that went into education that you just captured it perfectly, John. I just didn't want to grow up. We all have that story that led us in that direction. And a big part of that always, no matter who you talk to, is they just want to be around kids and to be able to have that opportunity to work with kids and to spend time with kids is, it's amazing. And, I had a similar experience with you, like Frank talked about going from high school down to middle school. I went the opposite direction. I taught at the junior high level and then taught at the high school. So I got to see those kids. And of course I got to coach them at both levels too. And it's amazing some of the things that kids will share with you, that you had in middle school and then you have them again, later on in high school. Is there maybe one thing or one story that jumps out that you're just like, man, I got to share this one of, a kid that you've had in multiple spaces that has said something that just flat out is going to make us laugh or just make us think or maybe touch our heart?
Yeah, I think going back to when I was coaching in Lawrence, the school I was at previously, I think just having, I've had a couple different former students and players that either invited me to their wedding or, made sure to send me a Facebook message or a text message when they're having their first child. And to that, it's like, who did you just share that with? You just shared that with your high school football coach, who is probably yelling at you the last time he saw you because you didn't make the block and knocked us out of the playoffs. Right. And I've talked with a couple, my current financial advisor is one of them. He played quarterback for us at Lawrence. But when you form that relationship so young, I formed a relationship with him in 6th grade and coached him as a sophomore, as a junior, as a senior, and just to see them grow up, and you're more than a friend, but you're not really a friend because you grew up as their coach and as their teacher, but they're so excited to share things with you as if you're family. And that's short of a specific story like you asked for. That's kind of the overall gist of kind of how that question just made me think of that.
I think Bradley and Frank, we can say that's 67 straight episodes where we're talking about relationships, right? I mean, that pretty well suffices, right? I mean, that's on the money right there.
It is that important.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now let's dive into the book. So we're still going to stick with this concept or this theme of why. And that's what I want to get to here is why share this message? Why this book? And how did it come to fruition?
So this book was actually, I kind of jokingly say it was an accident, because when I got back from Afghanistan in 2014, I started working full-time for the National Guard for something that would, again, take another half hour. But as I would come back from these conferences and these meetings, and as we're trying to do things that have never really been done before, I just had a Google Doc open and I would just write down little blurbs. It might be a little story. It might be just a quote that somebody had given. And I just kind of kept going with that. And, as I coached football that following fall, I kind of did the same thing. and kind of forgot about it for a few years, and opened it up during the COVID lockdown mess, and realized I had 12 pages of little stories and snippets of different things. And one of my very good friends, best friend, Kyle Anderson, had written a book and published it. And I thought, holy smokes, like only smart people write books. And shoot, if Kyle can do it. No, Kyle is extremely smart. But I took all these kind of leadership ideas and I just expanded them out into stories. And I tried to grab a story from coaching and teaching and the Army into each one of them, because leadership is leadership and relationships are relationships. It doesn't matter what the platform is, really. So I actually sent it off to a couple other publishers and never heard back. One got back to me and said they weren't taking new authors because they were short-staffed. And then I actually sent it off to Codebreaker because another one of my friends, Chris Woods, had published a book through them. And they got back to me right away and said, hey, this looks like something perfect for Road to Awesome. And they CC'd Darren on it, and here we are. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was really cool. Actually, I remember, Brian Aspinall just called me. He's like, hey, there's this book. It's amazing. But for me to publish it in Canada makes absolutely no sense. It's like, this needs to be published in the US. RTA is the perfect publisher for this. And I know from the time you and I had that very first conversation, there was no question in my mind that this thing was going to be great. But already a number one, hot new release in 2 different categories. And I mean, the thing is just has really taken off. And to be honest with you, it's kudos to you, John, because for those of you who don't know about the book, and I've got a copy right here, there it is right there. This book is titled Lesson 1, and every lesson in the book is Lesson 1. Explain why, John, because I've had a few questions asked of me, and I know the answer, but it's so much better to hear it from you when people say, hey, is that a typo? Why is every lesson labeled as lesson number 1?
So that's a great question. I've had the same question, and it's basically, when you look at it, I was trying to rank them, right? Like I have 21 lessons in there. So which one is lesson 1 and which one is 21? And I just couldn't do it because every part of your day is going to call for a little bit different part of your leadership. So every lesson in there at any particular moment could be your lesson 1. So taking care of yourself, that could be lesson 1 first thing in the morning to make sure you get a workout in and a good breakfast, right? Surround yourself with smart people and listen to them. That might not be a lesson for you for a week until you have a meeting. And then maybe that's the most important lesson. So the lesson 1 means which one is the most important at that point in your day, or even that point, it can change minute by minute, depending on what you're doing. Are you in the classroom? Are you on the sports field? Are you in a church group? Are you at home trying to lead your family? So any one of those can pop up and be the number 1 lesson you need at that time. So that's why it's titled Lesson 1, and why every lesson in it is the number 1 most important lesson.
I like that.
It makes perfect sense.
And there's I was going to just mention, kind of to help illustrate that, in the book I call it the round room with 4 sides, which doesn't make any sense, right? But how I picture my day is I'm in a round room, and on each side is a different part of my life. So it could be teaching, coaching, family, Army, and at any given point, I can be standing anywhere in the room. And sometimes I'm way on one side, I'm way on the Army side, and I really can't give attention to anything else. And sometimes I'm over in the classroom side, so I have to give full attention there. And then I walk over to the sports field, so now I'm on the coaching side. And certain times I'm a little bit with my family and a little bit with the football team. There it is right there. So
if I can get it to show up decent there, hey, yeah. There it is.
So I just picture myself throughout the day walking through that room. And then, if I'm on my lunch, I'm in my classroom, but maybe I'm checking my Army email. So just constantly walk throughout that room throughout my day. And that's kind of how it makes sense in my brain and why each lesson could be the number one lesson I need at that time.
I see how I think of that in a way that others might view that as being fairly chaotic. I think I lived my life very similar to that. But then it also makes me think of, remember as kids, we had, was that the spirograph? That little, where you put your pencil in it and moves it around all the sides, and it ends up making something quite beautiful. So it may look chaotic at first, and others may not see what it is that we're creating or doing. But in the end, trust the process, and you end up with something great.
No, I like that. I had a spirograph. That thing was fun.
It was.
Absolutely.
I haven't seen one for a long time, but yeah.
Yeah, all those different little sizes, and it was good stuff. So John, we told you before, the half hour flies, and we're already down, to just a third of our half hour left. So let's jump forward into some other work that you're doing. Here, just recently on your YouTube channel, you've released kind of a new project where you're just stopping and saying, "Hey, you got a minute? Maybe tell us a little bit about You Got a Minute."
Yeah, so that really started off, and I haven't expanded it the way I want to yet. I think I only have 4 videos in there, but even now we have students that are quarantined, and even for students that aren't, I wanted just something super quick that if they missed the day that we talked about, the Stamp Act or the Quartering Act, that I could send them a link to a video and be like, "Hey, I don't have time to talk with you right this second, but please watch this and then come back. And then, we can talk through the details that you missed or whatever we need to do to keep you caught up." And I figured by putting it on YouTube, it's there forever. So all it is it's a 1 to 3 minute video on something U.S. history related. So right now, I think I have the Proclamation of 1763, the Stamp Act, the Quartering Act, and the Tea Act, or maybe it's the Townsend Act. I'm not sure. So my plan is to just keep doing these little 1 to 3 minute videos until I have a library built, and then I can incorporate that either into my teaching through Google Classroom, or if a student misses for any reason, fast forward 3 years, even if they're just they miss for a sporting event or anything, I can send them that video and they can still get me teaching just in an abbreviated form. So it's been kind of fun. I just do it with my phone. There's zero editing. A 3 minute video takes me about 7 minutes to get uploaded on YouTube. So they may have to hold off until the end of football season because we're getting into the meat of our schedule now. But that's kind of how that came to be.
Well, this sounds like a great opportunity for not only some cross-curricular, but also for some distance learning. So if you've got another item that you'd like from history, if you write up a script, send it over to me. I'll have my theater kids film it, and they can make some videos for you as well.
Oh, that would be super awesome. And that's, since we mentioned YouTube, I got to mention I did a playlist. It's called Teacher PD because I was quarantined for 24 days. Even though I never had coronavirus, I had to quarantine. So I was sitting in my basement, bored out of my mind. So I made I think I made 5 or 6 different little videos. One's on Rocketbook, one's on how to make a better list. So if you go to, I saw you posted it, Darren, johnvandusen.com. If you go in the 4 teachers tab, the playlists are all listed right there. So again, kind of a fun project and hopefully can help somebody out.
Wonderful. We'll definitely get on there. So everybody, you see that down there, go to that website, get on there, get his book.
Absolutely.
That is fantastic. Well, I'm definitely looking forward to being able to follow some more of those videos. I'm going to jump over on YouTube and subscribe today, as all of you out there viewing should do the same. And we'll make sure to share that link as well. Also on the Empower Half Hour Twitter and Facebook page, we're going to share all of these links as well, so you get easy access to them, and make sure that you're following through on that. So we're going to check up on you. Boy, that does fly by quickly. We're to our almost to our final thoughts here, but we want to.
Do we not have Frank's audio? I thought Frank was talking there a minute ago.
No, I wasn't.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry.
What, were my lips moving?
Yeah, I thought they were, man. I really did.
Yeah. I said, no, that's self-communicating. I'm self-communicating. I'm not talking to myself.
Nothing wrong with that at all, man. Nothing wrong with that at all. So John, what's on your plate right now? I mean, you're coaching football, you're teaching social studies. You've got the book out there. You're putting videos together. I mean, what else does John have going on right now?
So the next big hurdle is I have drill this weekend. So I have to coach a football game in Marquette and then drive to Fort McCoy after the game. So that's going to be a challenge. And then it's up in the air a little bit of where we're going to do our instructing October through May. So I'm hoping this weekend we can kind of iron that out. But the Army, in the summer, in my particular job, it's 2 weeks of instructing, but then in the wintertime, it's just 1 week in a month. So just finding out where I have to go for that and what classes I'm going to have to teach is kind of the next thing on my radar. And I would be delinquent, I guess, if I did not mention my family. So my wife, works at the VA, so she works a full-time job, but she's extremely supportive of all the crazy things that I choose to do. And my 10-year-old son, he comes here on basically every weekend. I don't have drill. He was with us for most of the summer. So he's playing football now, and it's getting to be hunting season. So he always likes going out to camp and doing those types of things. So between Army and school and football, I try to make my family a priority the best that I can.
Wonderful.
It's that round room. You might have to add another level, John.
Yeah, I could.
But, I mean, I'm just shaking my head because I think we all definitely, you hit the nail right on the head. We all relate to exactly what you're saying, and the way, the analogies that you use and the graphics are spot on. So thank you for that. Especially the family component. And you could go on, like you say, every one of your stories you could take a half an hour with. So at least.
Yeah, exactly. And, I feel like that's the one that I need to make a priority because that's the only one that can allow the other ones to even be there. Right. So
no doubt.
Absolutely.
Well said. Well said. Yeah, man, we should have saved that one for a final thought right there. But I think, Bradley, it is time for
Final thought.
We need some kind of like music or something.
We do. I'll have to
go with that graphic. We really do. We get this cool new intro.
So we'll have to make something with that.
All right.
Put one of my
Spin the wheel. Who's up?
Oh, it's me. Okay. For my final thought, I just wanted to say how good it is being back. And that's just a general theme, not just being back here for season 3 of the Empower Half Hour, being back with friends, being back with our audience. I love the fact that I'm now back in front of my students, our face-to-face instruction. We're so blessed to be able to have that opportunity. And just being, as we're slowly working on getting back to all sorts of things. We've talked about athletics and sports and the love of football. So it's wonderful to have those things. And I think we often, last year showed us that we took a lot of it for granted. That when we didn't have some of those opportunities, we didn't realize just how important they were. And I think hopefully, as I have and many around me as well, that we realize just how valuable those times together are.
You made me reflect on a lot of different things. But first, again, thank you for your service, John. Thank you for everything that you're bringing to the table. But I saw this quote about 5 times today, and I don't know why. But you're the sum of the 5. You're the average of the sum of the 5 people you hang out with, or something like that. The 5 people you hang out, you're the average of them. There it is. But you reminded me that during your whole synopsis of not only your book, but the different components of your life. And you do it well. So thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right. So I think my final thoughts is as we sit, I'm sitting in Michigan and we're all over the country here. I think teachers and educators in general are incredibly resilient and innovative. And I think this past 2 years has really proved to us that you can literally do anything to us, to include take our classroom away. and we're going to figure it out. And we're not only going to figure it out, but we're going to make things better for the future. So as I sit here in front of my computer in Michigan, that's my final thought.
And I wish I didn't have to follow John. That's my final thought. That was brilliantly said, John. And it really, really, truly was. All three of you. I think my final thought is just going to be this. Taking all three of those pieces and maybe summarizing it down or percolating it down to this, and that is simply why educators matter is because they lead with love. They lead with their heart, and they care so deeply about kids and care so deeply about the future of kids and the future of their communities, the future of our country. So teachers, for everything you're doing, I mean, you're back at it. Some things are different. Some things haven't changed yet, but it's going to. So my final thought is just continue to persevere, continue to hang in there, continue to lead with your heart, because that's why you are so amazing. I love each and every one of you. I hope you have an amazing week, amazing month, and an amazing school year.
Thanks everybody for being back and joining us here on of course I'm going to say on the road to awesome here on the Empower Half Hour, and we will see you next week.
Have a road to awesome week, folks.